But the NBA is actually venturing into eSports. It's going to launch an NBA 2K E-League, partnering with Take-Two Interactive Software, Visual Concepts 2K Sports, of course, with NBA 2K. And basically, the gist of it is it's going to debut next year in 2018. It's going to be a gaming league consisting of teams operated by actual NBA franchises. Eventually, it's going to be the entire league, but it's just going to start out with a few and five. Each team's going to have 5 professional esports players who will play the game as user-created avatars. That's going to be announced in the coming months. And it's going to follow a professional sports league format, competing head-to-head throughout the regular season, participating in a bracketed playoff system, and concluding with a championship match. So it's really an extension of what they've been doing with the tournaments, the Road to the Finals last year, the All-Star Tournament this year. But yeah, it's kind of big news that esports and 2K is becoming this mainstream and big business.
Yeah, and the fact that the actual NBA teams are actually getting involved with it. So people will be drafted, from what I understand, people will actually be drafted by these NBA teams. So kind of virtually, kind of half virtual, half reality in a sense, in terms of getting drafted by an NBA team. So yeah, kind of cool and weird in some way like that. Yeah, I mean, there's some pretty cool element to all of it. In regards, especially when we'll talk about things later on in that, there's sort of my concerns in regards to the server stability factor. So.
No, definitely. And the other thing is that while this is a very cool idea and it's great for the brand, you know, obviously NBA 2K being the dominant brand in basketball gaming at the moment, by far, by sales and reputation, you know, it's great and showing just how much they've become a big part of pop culture as well as our niche of basketball gaming. But my concern, whether it's a concern or I guess my reaction at least, is that while that's cool, it doesn't really mean anything for the rest of us. You know, the more casual online gamer, those of us who prefer, you know, we're not esports players. We're my league, my GM, my career, bit of pro-am on the side. You know, how does this really affect us? You know, it's cool to see a game that we enjoy out there in the mainstream and doing this cool stuff with the league, but our experience isn't really going to improve, I think, from this. Or how could it?
Yeah, it's not game-changing in terms for us and the regular gamers and stuff. In terms of obviously, as you sort of stated, there's no nothing that benefits us in terms of gameplay improvements or anything like that, or online stability or anything like that. So, yeah, it's cool, but nothing really in it for us, as we're most likely obviously not going to be the ones that get drafted by these NBA teams.
Definitely not us. I don't imagine anyone outside of North America probably will be. But I guess, considering they will need to really do things with the server to make sure that this, I guess maybe if the NBA is investing in it, they'll be able to really beef up the servers, perhaps.
You mean they haven't made enough money on VC to be able to fund the proper servers?
I guess, but then there's NBA is a lot bigger than them again, so I guess they can invest even more money. But I mean, maybe if they've got to put in that effort to really improve the servers, perhaps we'll benefit from that. But then again, are they going to be separate, exclusive esports servers? In which case, again, it's
dedicated.
Dedicated, yeah. So it's hard to us to get really excited. I mean, it is cool, obviously, and congratulations to Visual Concepts for securing this deal and continuing to further their brand. And again, yeah, it's cool to see a game that we play becoming such a big thing with esports. But again, us not being that into esports ourselves, certainly as participants anyway, and looking at what it's going to mean for us as gamers, it's hard to see any benefits to it's how's our experience going to get any better? As I said, I don't think it will, but yeah, that's going to launch in 2018, and it'll be interesting to see how long it lasts. Whether esports is kind of here to stay, or whether it's going to be there's going to be kind of a bubble. I mean, everyone's quick to say everything's a fad. Video games are in their 36th year of being just a fad or something like that. It's And of course, there was the video game crash of 1983, very well documented, obviously. But with the resurgence, at least in North America, with the release of the original Nintendo Entertainment System, and the way that's really the way gaming's blown up in Western countries and now worldwide, just such a huge thing. To say the video game industry or the internet or anything is just a fad is somebody trying to trying to make a smart, cynical statement and failing. But who knows if esports, if people will kind of look around, well, this is just people playing video games. Is the bubble kind of burst on that kind of thing?
Yeah, it would be cool to see what happens in the next, say, like 3 to 5 years with it, whether it still exists or if it is, how much it's evolved, and how popular I guess it could be. A lot of sort of TV networks have invested money in esports and all that stuff. So yeah, it's sort of seeing, I guess, putting feelers out there and sort of seeing where it's going and how it's going and all that stuff. So yeah, we'll see how things are over the next 2 years, 3 years, even 5 years.
I mean, the interest is there. I mean, you look at Let's Plays and everything and Twitch streams and everything. It's obviously popular, but that is still kind of a niche demographic as it is. Will it still get the ratings on ESPN? Because as you notice, they've invested heavily in esports, especially Madden, the Madden tournaments. Will the teams see return for their investment? Will the interest be there? Will the ratings be there? Will the money be there? Will it continue on with that? But and again, will it actually mean good things for the rest of us for the games? How will we actually get benefits from that? And I keep coming back to that because it's kind of a that's how I'm looking at it, because I'm not going to be playing these esports. I might take an interest and watch some. Might give us some tips, I guess, for Pro-Am when we can actually play Pro-Am, which we'll get to in a sec. But yeah, I do keep thinking, how is it going to benefit us, and or is it going to go the other way where 2K becomes such a big thing that they can keep putting things behind microtransactions? What if it? And that's getting into some real what if territory, obviously. But I'm just looking for how it could possibly benefit us, and right now it's cool but difficult to care, I guess is how I'd sum it up.
Yeah, actually the news did, like, in terms of tweets and stuff like that, and in the hashtag and that, it didn't really pick up until like 12, nearly 24 hours later in a lot of ways, where there was a lot more tweets about it. But yeah, I think it's a wait and see thing in terms of the stability of the server element. Will this really force 2K to make some big improvements to gameplay? And again, a lot of those relating to like the little grandfather issues in the game, to even some of the pesky little issues that have happened in through ways of them trying to tune the game to balance it out, but it hasn't quite worked out throughout the last year or so. Yeah, just to sort of get it right from the start in that sort of element. So, and having that worked out and how it will hopefully that's how it benefits the regular user who plays the other forms of online modes and all that stuff, or even just an offline modes where hopefully those gameplay quirks and that are ironed out and that. So that's what I'd be hopeful for in terms of it, that it does force those little quirky moments and get gameplay quirks and things to be improved and fixed upon. So that's what I really hope.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. I suppose they do need to have the game looking and playing its best in future years with the esports. So I guess we all benefit from that. No, that's a fair point. I hadn't really given that much consideration because I guess the game is so well received, and especially compared to NBA Live these past few years, and quite a few years now, obviously. So no, that is true. That if it leads to that, little fixes of that, because they obviously want the game looking great on the national international stage for these big tournaments, especially with televised and everything. So yeah, maybe so. So I guess we can wait and see how it turns out. And You are right. Actually, it's a lot of mainstream gaming press has been picking it up, and basketball press as well. I'm referring to the Slam magazine article online, Slam Online, to when I brought up the information on it, just so that I could read it out for the show. So yeah, it is getting that kind of response. But have seen some of the responses from people on Twitter, in the Twitter threads, and there is that skepticism there, and the usual fix your service kind of demands. Um,
Yep.
so I think the skepticism is there about how much it's actually going to benefit everyone, and yeah, I guess it does kind of put people off that they're doing this kind of tournament or setting up this league, and people are sort of thinking, well, can you take care of us first, the people that have been supporting the game in many ways? But hopefully that happens. Hopefully it does pan out that way, and it will all be good stuff. But for the moment, I guess it's hard to get too excited for us at least, not being
Yeah.
really big into that scene.
And if people are saying, trying to be negative and trying to downplay, it's not. It's we want the game to be good and overall.
Hmm.
And just like live gets criticized and that, we just want some, I suppose, long-standing issues and that to at least be tempted to be resolved in that. Because there's just so many little quirks that have just been there for far too long, and they break the experience where you absolutely get frustrated with the game. So that's why I harp on about it, because they are there in terms of things, and I suppose when you see things like this and Park After Dark and all that stuff and this big tournament stuff that they do as well, like it's like, well,
Is that really the priority, or should that be the priority?
yeah, exactly. You just wonder where the priorities are. Is it more about trying to be the cash grab stuff, or to try and big note and not do the work in the background that needs to be done to fix things? So that's the only thing that would sort of bugs me at times, and in terms of things. But and probably other people as well. But just sometimes maybe a lack of priority of fixing a couple of things that should be.
Well, I mean, we've talked about it before. The difference in frustration between Live and 2K. I mean, Live, the frustration is because you see the potential, but the game just hasn't been where it's needed to be. With 2K, the frustration is that you do have this fantastic game, but there are these nagging issues that would just really put it over the top to be absolutely exceptional. And it is, it's a pretty damn good game, obviously. But these issues that have been there, these legacy issues. Last week I talked about the All-Star bug that I encountered. You linked me to a post I wrote on Operation Sports where somebody was talking about having the same thing, and one of the users noted that it's actually been happening. It's been in there since 2K14, so I guess you got kind of lucky you'd never experienced it yourself. But these legacy issues that are in there, they do they detract from, I should say more accurately, an otherwise fantastic game. And the other thing that I'd probably close on, as far as my final thoughts on the matter, is that since you brought it up, 2K, because it is so great, to a certain extent, you hold it to a higher standard. To draw a comparison to the NBA, there's much more pressure and criticism and expectations on a player like LeBron James, one of the all-time greats, than Victor Oladipo. If Oladipo doesn't have a fantastic game, well, he's not a star player. He's a young player still with a great potential and skill, but he's not an all-time great. So if he doesn't have a great game in crunch time, no one really expects it. If LeBron is disappearing in the clutch, as he has done sometimes in his career, been questioned on, it becomes a big issue. Live has been struggling for so long that it's kind of like, well, it's where it is. It's not at that level. When 2K, such a great game, still has those nagging issues, they really stand out against the rest of a really fantastic game.
Yeah, especially when, in case of, we'll take a couple of instances from this year, when they've said that some of these things have been implemented, whether it be in terms of some of the game mode stuff or information in regards to features and stuff like that, and you're not finding that's actually happening, or PR people harp on that it's like the greatest game on the planet. and things like that. Just sort of the over big noting or moments of misinformation.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just sort of that adds to elements of the frustration. It's like, and given some of the information that we had at hand, and or I was still like before the release, where I was still even hesitant about buying the game.
Yes. Yes.
Some of the things that sounded as though we could do from in the modes and all that stuff, it was like, all right, and especially given the things like that we had planned for like the whole online My League thing and all that we were looking at doing. Things like that weren't there in the end, and some of the, even in regards to Pro-Am and things like that, and it was like, yeah, so a little bit of misinformation or miscommunication or something happened that just didn't translate to what actually was in the game. So I don't know which end it happened in, whether it was our end, whether it was something between the developer who worked on it to the person who maybe wrote the blog, or
some things were lost in translation, so to speak.
Yeah. Something got broken in the communication element, and then didn't communicate or didn't translate very well in that sort of sense. So things like that. So that's what I'd put things down to.
But, I mean, at the end of the day, it is, in many ways, still a great game. Obviously, we have enjoyed it for many respects, despite moments of frustration here and there. And, yeah, because it is such a great game, I expect that it's going to do pretty well with this new eSports League. We'll just have to see how it turns out. And hopefully, as you said, it will lead to those improvements in the game, because it's going to be on such a big stage now.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.